Call it to order, but I'm wore out, so I'll just stay right here. So I'm going to call the meeting to order, and we will follow in just a second with a moment of silence. But tonight, when we do the pledge, we have a guest tonight, Ella Smith. Where are you, Ella? Where's Ella? Okay, Ella, if you'll come right here and stand till I ask you to do the pledge, and just set that. Well, we're going to do it in just a second, and just set it there, and then I'll tell you when to start. Okay? Let's all stand for a moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you, folks. Ellen, pledge.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, folks. Good job. Thank you. She's in the 4-H, right? Her mom. Yeah, she's in the 4-H, working on citizenship, right? Good job. Appreciate it. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Well, it's okay. It's something like Groundhog Day. We're back to citizen input. And, no, sorry. We forget I said that. We got to approve the agenda first.
So moved.
What is it? Oh, okay. Where is that? We're at it. Yeah. I think everybody found the copy of the field trip. Yes. FFA. Right. So we'll need to add that to the consent agenda. Now, approval of the agenda is by vote, and the paper I gave you, this is the point where, before we vote on this, that you can add something to the agenda. And we can add it by unanimous consent, or if somebody objects, you can add to vote on it, okay? So if everybody wants to add anything to this agenda right now is the time. There's other ways to add things, but we'll do that later. So, is there a motion to approve the agenda? Okay. Is there a second? Second. So we got a motion to approve the agenda. Did you get the figures? Right. And it has been seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favor of approving the agenda, raise your right hand. Righty, and six. Danny's got it again. Where did he go? 6 and 8.
You don't want that.
Now then, citizen input, I have 3 pages this time. So, here we go.
John C. Houston.
State your name, address, and subject. You got 3 minutes, folks.
My name is Chauncey Houston. I know we had a moment of silence, but since you all can't pray, I'm going to do so again. It's about ally. Okay. Heavenly Father, I come to you in the name above every name, that every knee will bow and every tongue confess Jesus Christ is Lord. We all come with information, facts, statistics, opinions, and passions. I ask that you forgive us for not having the mind of Christ, wanting none to perish but have everlasting life. Forgive us, Lord, including myself, for all our selfishness and personal agendas. Though I have fallen, I will rise. Though I sit in darkness, the Lord shall be my light. In saying, love is not love, but love is Jesus Christ and him only, and he is also light. May we not be enlightened to darkness, but your light, which is your Son, Jesus Christ, in whom there is no shadow of turning in thee. Open the eyes of our understanding, that we all may come to an agreement. In Jesus' name. With that said, I think that's enough said.
Next is Allison Peak. Name, address, and subject.
Hello, Allison Peak, 222 East Broadway, Jefferson City. And I wanted to address the topic of contract. So, I again am grateful for your time, grateful to have time with you here again this afternoon, evening. Sorry, y'all, we all know it's got a little bit late, but we've heard numerous stories about the services in our schools. I spoke with you guys earlier about the number of regulatory bodies that we report to. Again, 7 state regulatory bodies, numerous national regulatory bodies. I told you about the state's recognition of the work that we've done here in Jefferson County, about being able to partner on behalf of our students. We've heard a number of stories of families who know us, who spend time with us. But I really do want to take a moment here and stop and talk about our team and talk about our contract, where we've been, where we're headed, all of those things. I do want to acknowledge my really wonderful team and crew here this evening. I'd love for them to take a minute and just stand up for all their efforts that they do on behalf of our students. They live in this community, they're from this community, they have generations of family in our community. They go grocery shopping with you all, they sit next to you in church on Sunday. And so I really want to talk a bit about the bid process that's come up, and some about the conversations around identifying another behavioral health provider. So the contract was competitively bid out in 2020, 2021, and 2022. In 2020 and 2021, there were other companies who bid for the contract. And so we were not the only ones. However, we were the only ones willing and able to commit 10 full-time clinicians to serve our students and educators. We were the only provider who was willing to contribute staff beyond the contract requirements, because that's what was needed. And we were the only provider willing to guarantee that all staff would be licensed eligible. What does that mean? It means no bachelor's level providers. It means nobody with a master's degree in general liberal arts. These are folks who are trained, who report to the Department of Health, who must have background checks. They are the folks I would want my children and family to see. They are what you should expect for our children in this county and our schools. And so what happens tonight if this board votes to end this contract? 495 children and families in Jefferson County will immediately lose their behavioral health services. And let me state to you, there are not behavioral health providers waiting in the wings to come in. They are not Dollar General stores that you're going to find every mile and a half. Some of the local behavioral health providers don't do school-based contracts, and the others you're going to find were the corporate sponsor for Knoxville Pride's Festival for 2022, or you're going to find a newspaper article where they were at Blount County's Pride Festival making affirming cards for teens. And so you're not going to find something at a different provider that you don't have with us, because non-discriminatory practices are required by the state. So I'll stop there. Love to take questions from you.
Questions?
Oh, I did got one. Maybe. I was thinking about this with everybody talking. How many people or children are currently getting services right now?
Currently, or how many have we served?
Currently.
Currently, it's about 350.
Okay. Now, I'm like a lot of these folks here. Listen, I work in schools. I've seen this stuff. I want help for these children. Are y'all gonna be able to keep up with the demand?
So that is the place where, again, the contract asks for 10 behavioral health providers. And every year when the need goes up, we commit extra staff. The school district has never paid us increased funds. So part of what we do with the money that the school contract gives us is that we offset the cost of co-pays, deductibles, out-of-pocket fees. It saved families in the county over 4 years, little more than $200,000 that would come out of their paychecks. And so those 2 staff that we have added to the 10, we don't get paid extra for. We just say, we don't need the profits. We're here for kids, we're here for students, we're here for families, we're here for the county. And so we run at a break even. And if the county needs 14, we'll hire 2 more. We have always listened to what the school district needs and what the community's asking for, and we rise to that challenge.
I had a question, I got this, if we do continue, if we do whatever continue contract, how do you feel if we put, like, somebody to make sure our kids is, what I'm trying to get at, make sure our kids is getting, not pushing this other stuff down the throat like y'all say you don't, but if somebody could come back to this board, and I'm just throwing this out here, I ain't come back to us, Tommy check on or something, and say, hey, they doing this, they need to go. Or something like that, you know, to how do you feel about that, man? Do you feel if we put something into place that if they offer this stuff, start pushing this agenda, whatever, I ain't getting in it.
Yeah.
And would you feel comfortable, if Tommy comes to this board and say, hey, I'm just on this out here, this
Yeah.
mental health thing, they saying stuff and kids coming out, parents started coming out, talking to him, we need to do something. How do you feel if we put something like that? You understand what I'm saying? Like you,
A clause in the contract or something?
yeah, a clause in the contract, or something like that. How do you
Yeah.
feel about that, man?
So we have always provided reporting to the school district. Relationships and communication are important to us. Being a therapist means you're in relationship with people all the time. We want to be good partners and good friends. And so, again, one of the things I will state very clearly is that we don't provide transgender medical services. We are not physicians. We don't make medical recommendations. And so if there needs to be a clause in a contract, if there needs to be a biannual meeting where I come in and I tell you about what we're doing and we sit down and we think about it, we want to be in conversation. Again, anybody who has called us, reached out to us, we've been happy to talk to. And so there needs to be a clause in an annual meeting. Let's do it. I'm open and happy to do it.
Well, I don't mean throw so many questions out because this is.
Oh, no, this
going
is
through my
important.
mind, and I got, you know, I'm sitting here looking this side, and what I'm gonna do. And praying about it, I know, but I just had to throw that out there. Thank you for answering my question, man.
I have a question. If your contract is terminated tonight, that means tomorrow you will not be in the schools.
That means tomorrow, my 12 team members will sit in an office in Jefferson County, and they will call 495 families and say, here are your options. You can lose services completely. You can pull your student out half a day and drive to our office building. Or we can refer you someplace else, but you don't have to drive to Knoxville or Morristown. And that'll take more time out of your day and out of your school's day. And you're gonna have to start paying for it. We know you got a $5,000 deductible, but your insurance company says it's $125 every session, and there's nobody to cover that charge anymore. And we all know, some families will figure it out, but most won't and most can't.
Okay. Well, if your contract is terminated tonight, when will the, well, I should ask this first, when does your contract expire with Jefferson County Schools? At the end of the school year?
So our contracts have always been, the way that the competitive bid was set up when we first applied was that they run from July to June. They match the state fiscal year.
Talking about June 1st?
Yeah, they run July 1 to June 30. So, yes,
So
that has
the
been.
okay, that's the contract, in the end of
Correct.
June 30. So if your contract is terminated tonight, you're gonna lose money, right?
This is a program we run at a break even, so to say.
But still, you're not even gonna break even, I mean,
Oh,
I know
really? Oh, yeah.
file insurance,
Uh-huh,
and there's money that the federal dollars, I think it is, that is used, like you mentioned, to pay co-pays,
deductibles.
cover other, so from tonight, if it's terminated until the June 30th, then you're not bringing any revenue into Jefferson County. What's that next?
We're talking about 12 team members, 12 members of this community.
I understand, but, you're gonna lose money, people are gonna lose jobs.
That's what I'm saying, 12 members of this community who will no longer be employed. Not only to mention the economic impact of families who've got to take time off of work, so they're not stable in their employment. They gotta pull money out of their pocket to come to things, they're taking half days. So yes, will our team lose jobs? Absolutely. Will that impact other people's ability for full-time employment? Absolutely.
I'm not gonna answer the question, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I don't understand why we as a board are sitting here talking about this. School is out in May.
Point of order, I believe that the public comments, you can only ask questions, you can't make statements.
You want something?
I believe with the public comments, the 3-minute public comments, we as school board can ask the comments or questions, but can we make statements and debate the question at that
I
point?
withdraw my statement, let Mr. Doe take over.
I thought I asked a question.
You did. I'm talking about Mr.
I
Chairman.
withdraw my comment, let Mr. Doe.
Anything else? I can revise.
This is me thinking about a kid for the future. I don't know how long services for something, it may be, if they come in school, they may have it for the duration. And we're talking about folks in the county, and everybody stated that, can't afford to do this, truth be told. What happens with the child when they graduate? I mean, I know it's not the school's responsibility anymore, but do you all follow them or do any sort of thing for because now the milk's dried up, so to speak. What do you do when they leave school?
So one of the things that I will tell you that we work on pretty hard with seniors is transition planning. What's life gonna look like? How you gonna pay your bills? Where you gonna live? You going to community college? I will tell you, I'm a product of community college. I love community college. So we tend to hammer that one home pretty hard. So you going to trade school? Like, what's the plan? How do we start setting things up? We start saying, have you talked to your school counselor about a FAFSA? Have you ever filled one of these out? Have you talked to your parents about needing copies of W-2s and 1099s? And we say, what's your plan gonna be for services? If you're relocating to, let's say they're gonna go to the University of Memphis or ETSU or wherever, we say, let's talk about the phone number for counseling services at that institution. They also have them at all the community colleges, and all technical schools. And so we say, let's talk about who you're gonna connect, how you're gonna know when you need help, who you're reaching out to, what are your supports, how do we start making that move? And so there is never with us just a see you later. We are always supporting students and families to be able to stand on their own. I mean, our hope is that folks don't need us. We want people to get where they want to be, and then to be able to celebrate that. And to say, we're really glad we got to spend some time with you, but now we know you're good to go.
Thank you. I'm good.
Okay, thank you all, I appreciate your time.
All right, Gary
licensed professional counselor, mental health service provider, and I have been working as a school-based behavioral health liaison in Jefferson Middle School for a little over 3 years. I know I emailed you a letter last week, but just in case you didn't have a chance to read it, I would like to highlight some of my points. Jefferson County has many strong attributes, but undoubtedly, the number one thing this county has going for it is its youth. I have had the honor of working with some amazing students, and I enjoy working with these middle schoolers in this county so much that I have committed to a daily 1 hour and 40-minute round commute since January 2020. I went to school at Carson Newman for my undergrad and graduate degrees, and I fell in love with this county and its people. As a licensed professional counselor, I hold myself to a code of ethics and utilize due diligence. Likewise, I see that you all hold yourselves to the boardmanship code of conduct and that you adhere to ethical standards of being fair, just, and impartial in all of your decisions and actions. In my letter, I asked and hoped that you would reach out to non-biased and neutral professionals, such as pediatricians, DCS, and the juvenile court system in order to come to a fair, just, and impartial decision concerning the importance of mental health services. When I think about potentially being removed from Jefferson Middle School, there are multiple unpleasant feelings that surface. But the most unpleasant feelings come when thinking about making one painstaking phone call after another to the parents and students who I've been working with for the last 1 to 3 years. I dread thinking about relaying the news that we will have to, unfortunately, terminate therapy. Because long after tonight's meeting has passed and you have moved on to next month's agenda, and long after my coworkers and I have individually contacted hundreds of students and families, and long after I have driven my last 1 hour and 40-minute commute, turned out my office lights, and departed JMS for the very last time, it will only be the students who remain behind. I have been with these students through their hardships, grief and loss, their light bulb moments. I've witnessed the smiles on their faces and growth in confidence when their hard work finally paid off and developed into achievement and a sense of self-worth. Whatever the outcome may be, please know that I have thoroughly enjoyed working with these students and these families, and it has been an honor and a privilege to do so. Thank you.
Hey, wait a minute, folks. Debbie Fincham.
My name is Debbie Fincham, and I am the school counselor at Mount Corp Elementary. I've been there since day one, so I've been there 11 years. I also was at Dares Elementary and Jefferson Elementary. I'm a product of Jefferson County Schools. I graduated from Jeff County High School, went to White Pine before that. My children have also, and two of my children have gone to Carson Newman College. So Jeff County has pretty much been where I've always lived and where I've always done it. I had a family member call me and wanted to know what type of mental health services we have in school and why do we need them. And so this is what I explained to him. I said, this is what I do every day. I am responsible for 500 to 610 students and 70 plus faculty members every day. That is what I have to deal with, that's what I have to talk to, that's what I have to teach, that's what I have to keep healthy. Lots of my family, we are, Title I, we're low. We have a lot of family poverty. Our students live in public housing. We have divorced families. I have single birth parents. I have grandparents, aunts, uncles, siblings, foster parents, great-grandmothers trying to raise children right now. I have parents or guardians who have been incarcerated. The kids know more about illegal drugs than I do. They know about alcohol. They know about painkillers. Parents have been involved. Just this week, I had a parent who had to go to rehab. Had to explain that to a child. Inadequate food, housing, clothing, and shoes is a constant with us. I can't even keep up with the number anymore of children who were born with addicted to drugs. It's huge. We also have parent and guardian with mental health issues. childhood mental health issues, we have autism, ADHD, anxiety, family issues. Suicidal ideation, I have done 6 suicide threat assessments with Katie, my allied person, this year alone, and I'm in elementary school. 4 of those resulted in hospital stays. I have multiple DCS referrals. Right now I'm at 11. They contain sexual assault, physical abuse, neglect, you name it, it's there. Threat assessments, once again, elementary school, I've done 8 this year. Social media has been a bane of everyone's existence. And one of the secrets I always tell my kids is, I just want you to know that what you read on social media usually isn't true. Bullying, I have 14 of those reports right now, and 2 more on my desk that need to be done. Out of, right now we have 590 kids. 89 of our students have missed more than 10% of the days that we have been in school. I am the one person in this school with many children and adults to take care of. All referrals to Allied go through me first. I always speak to my parents. I find out, I let them know what to expect and what's going to happen. I then refer, I send it to Katie. Katie starts making phone calls to parents. Parents know everything we do, every single thing we do. They know, they come in. We have treatment plans. I have meetings with Katie every Friday. We go over all those treatment plans so that I know everything that's going on with my children. I can't do this job alone. I can't. I have to have help, and they have been a godsend to me. Mental health services have been wonderful. And the last thing I want to say is today Governor Bill Lee has included an extra $8 million in his budget for additional school-based behavioral health liaisons across the state. Yes. Thank God.
Yarborough,
I wait my time.
Samantha,
It's Cobb, Samantha Cobb. I'd like to waive mine and pass it to Angie Sparks, please.
Did you not sign up?
No, she waived it to her. She waived her time for her, what she said.
Adrian,
Can I pass it to Angie?
so she's on there signed up,
Okay.
so.
Gary? Adriana?
We're guessing.
We know you got quick.
We ain't got close enough for a spell check. Barrett,
It says
1013 Susan Drive's the address. Tiffany Nix,
My name is Tiffany Smith. My name is Tiffany Nix, and I live in Hamlin County, but I'm the school counselor at Dandridge Elementary. I have been in my position at Dandridge Elementary for 6 years now. I have a master's in mental health counseling and an EDS in professional school counseling. I am also a mother of 2 young children, a wife of a deacon, and someone who grew up in Upper East Tennessee. Through my trainings in the mental health field, I have witnessed the increased number of individuals who need extreme mental health interventions. I definitely was not expecting to see that same amount when I started working in the school setting. Some things I've seen over the years is a student who, every time they become angry, they try to harm themselves with whatever they can find. Another pair of students lost their mother. I had another student who watched their father pass away in a very traumatic, unexpected event overnight. We've had students waiting for residential placements due to severe mental illness, students exposed to drugs in their mother's womb, students who have experienced abuse physically, emotionally, and sexually. I am one student counselor, school counselor for a student population of 533 students. There's no way that I can meet with and serve every student who needs one-on-one services. In fact, the American School Counseling Association Code of Ethics prevents me from guaranteeing that I can see even one student on a regular basis. Allied has been an irreplaceable service for myself and for my students. We've had a couple of different mental health agencies within our schools over the last 6 years that I've been there. I can confidently say that Allied has provided services that are both quality and consistent. I waited several years to have a mental health collaborative relationship in my school, and Ms. Sheena has been an invaluable resource for me and our students. I've single-handedly seen the difference she has made in our students, and I collaborate with her every single time she is at school. If she asks about me, she will text me and ask about her students even when she's off there and call me. I can't help but wonder if individuals like the school shooter in Nashville would have had early mental health access interventions, easier access than with those 3 young children and 3 adults still being at home with their loved ones today. One of the main perks of having Allied in our schools is the easy access. Parents are not pulling them, and they're not missing instructional time. Once a parent has their intake and has signed the paperwork for consent to treat, that student receives services. I'd like to say I appreciate Coach Bradley for taking the time to visit me at my school, to ask questions, and to do research regarding this matter. I truly hope that the board will consider the students and staff of Jefferson County when making this decision. They do not have an agenda. They provide mental health services for all, just as most businesses are an equal opportunity employer. I would feel 100% confident in sending my children to be treated by anyone at Allied. Thank you.
Michelle Jeanette? State your name, address, and comment.
Michelle Jeanette, I live off Wells Springs Road. I'm going to speak a little bit about Allied, but I want to say something else first. Dr. Benjamin Rush was the founding father. He's the father of public schools. He's the father of American psychiatry, and he has also taught 3,000 medical students. He had a statement or a report on education. He says, I'm going to quote Dr. Rush on his views on public education. To the duty young students owe to their Creator, I wish to see a supreme regard to their country. This duty is incumbent upon every citizen of a republic. Our country includes family, friends, and property. Let our pupils be taught that he does not belong to himself, but that he is public property. Let our youth be instructed in all means of promoting national prosperity and independence, the general principles of legislation, and whether it relates to the preservation of life, liberty, or property. In his reasons for using the Bible in schools, Dr. Rush states that the Bible contains more knowledge necessary to man in his present state than any other book in the world. He says, quote, I lament that we waste so much time and money in punishing crimes and take so little pains to prevent them. He was adamant about the Bible being used as the primary school book because, quote, this divine book above all others favors that equality among mankind, that respect for just laws, and all those virtues which constitute the soul of republicanism. So why do I read this? Because I wanted to give a glimpse into the original intent for education and how far we have strayed from it. I believe everything has been said that can be said about Allied. I know the biggest factor in having good mental health is intact and healthy families. My heart is for children and youth to know that no matter what their earthly family looks like, there is a heavenly Father who sees them and loves them. He created them for a purpose, and the enemy's #1 plan is to steal, kill, and destroy what God created. It's not judgment or fearful to want to guide a child to their true identity that can only be found in their Heavenly Father. Thank you for your time.
Ms. Pickering? Name, address, and second, please. Thank you.
Okay, Jim Pickering, Plainview Drive in Dandridge. And subject as Allied. Is that it? Okay, my main message is on the page that I'm passing around. Again, it's the same message. I believe that we strongly need mental health services, but do not want Allied. And the reason for that is for all their material that we discussed. I can only judge them by that score. All right. HIPAA guidelines do not allow anybody to know what's discussed. Since these counselors were hired and trained with this written agenda that I witnessed myself, and they're talking to these impressionable kids privately, one-on-one, it's a big concern of mine. The question to the board is number 4 here. If a child gives the Allied counselor any open, okay, what kinds of messages are likely to be told to that young person during these private sessions? Okay. I feel it's important that the board consider other firms like the McNabb Center, who's currently working at the high school. They've got a lot of experience. They've got a lot of experience and do not promote or advertise liberal woke philosophies. They align with the values of most people in East Tennessee. They received their state grant for 1 counselor when the Allied folks got a federal grant for 10 counselors. Okay, some specifics about the McNabb Center. It's pretty impressive, their data. Their headquarters in Knoxville. They have all the counties around us, Knox, Cock, Sevier, and Hamlin are part of their program. They've got 18 school districts in East Tennessee. They've been in business for 75 years. They've been in public schools for 30 years, currently working in 70 schools. They do accept Medicaid. They file for private insurance. They'll meet parents before school or after school. They've got a mobile home, motor home that comes around that parks at the Justice Center on Wednesdays between 9:30 and 3:30. The interesting thing on that is they're one of 4 motor homes bought by the state given to McNabb because they want them to spend 5 days in this central area talking to people. That motor home is staffed by a counselor and a nurse who dishes out medication as required. They also have a Zoom program called telehealth for parents that cannot come in person. Additional benefits, they also the provider at the East Tennessee Children's Hospital for any children that have very special mental health needs. So they're part of that program there. Again, I think we desperately need mental health services. I don't think there's very many people that disagree with that statement. We don't want Allied because of all the things we've
Thank you.
Yep.
Bill Caldwell. Name,
Bill Caldwell.
address,
Jefferson City, Tennessee.
Topic.
Allied Health Solutions.
Dr. Clark.
I'm speaking on behalf of the children enrolled in our counties, in our county. Allied's own website, their Facebook page, Instagram pages, they all say they specialize in LGBTQ affirming indoctrination. We should take them at their word and not listen to their spoken words. It's in writing. Why would you want our children influenced by this group who espouse such radical views? Common sense tells us that children of all ages should be guided away from pursuing abnormal and untrue sexual fantasies and delusions, which research says they usually change and grow out of over time. The brain does not fully mature until age 25. Yet they are exploiting these children. Would you trust your child to talk to one of these counselors behind closed doors, given their stated ideology. Colorado, current event, same company, same graphic, gender unicorn shows up on the Facebook page, but there's something missing from our gender unicorn that was sent to you. It was the double helix DNA sign on the genital area. It was scrubbed from our area, our particular area. I thought it's a bit too much. But that's their ideology. They think that children can change their DNA. It's a lie. It's not the first lie they've told you. Take them by what's in writing. There are other services. Get rid of Allied Health.
Comment. Respond. Okay, we'll get to Richard. Yeah, Richard Jeanette.
Hand out, did I get anyone? You have a copy of the gender unicorn on it? Here, she'll start. There it is, thank you.
State your name, please.
Address, Richard Jeanette, Wells Springs Road. We're talking about Allied again.
Okay, go ahead and start. Sorry.
People are moving to Jefferson County from liberal states like California, Illinois, and New York to escape the very insanity we're here talking about tonight. Gender-affirming care and the militant LGBTQ gender ideology or basic fantasy have no business in Jefferson County schools. Let me say before I go on, I wouldn't be here talking to you tonight. I've got other things I'd rather be doing. So do a lot of other people. All right? But Allied Health did this to themselves. They're the one who put this on the front page of their website. If every citizen in Jefferson County, all 50,000+ citizens saw this, okay, what do you think would happen? There'd be a lot of really ticked off people. Now, granted, the vast majority of what Allied Behavioral Health Services does has nothing to do with this. But this is their core belief system. Period. They put it in writing. It's everywhere in their literature. Now, I don't care what these people say. I'm sorry. They're great people. And I'm sure they are. They live here. But I do not want the children of Jefferson County exposed to this kind of ideology. And there are people to get away from this very stuff that they put on the front page of the website. And I'm sorry, if you put it on the front page of your website for 3 years and then come up here and try to say that, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't know, that's pure incompetence.
Really?
If this was a business, you wouldn't be in business, period. How do you put something on your website for 3 years and come up here and honestly say you didn't know about it? I mean, I just find that too hard to believe. So, you know, granted, we need mental health services in Jefferson County schools, but it needs to be somebody besides Allied Behavioral Health Services. I'm sorry, even if another health service provider maybe does something similar, they're not incompetent enough to put it on the front page of their website. So that's all I've got to say. I just don't think we need to renew the contract with Allied Behavioral Health Services. It's plainly clear in their literature what they stand for. So, you know, that's it. Thank you.
Lisa Haynes. Folks, y'all need to be quiet, please. While somebody's speaking, I don't care.
I'm going to change pace just a little bit.
Name, address, and
My name is Lisa Haynes. I live at 2603 Flocks Lane in White Pine. I am the 4th grade math teacher at Dandridge Elementary School.
it's going to be your subject, right?
I'm going to be talking to you about iReady. Yes, sir. So, you all have all heard that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it also takes a village to teach a child. So within iReady, there are many, many, many components that go with it. One of my favorite things is that my special education department, my tutoring department, and my RTI department all have access to iReady. We're all using the same things to teach our kids. So they're all seeing the same things. So I want you to look at our data. And this, because I'm the only fourth grade teacher this year, I have 74 students. This data is just a little bit construed because I added 3 more students recently, so it's just a little bit out of date, but not much. So at the beginning of the year, this will be slide number 2 there. I had 9 kids that were mid or above grade level. I had 19 that were early or on grade level. I had 31 that were 1 grade level below, 9 that were 2 grade levels below, and 4 that were 3 or more grade levels below. As we moved to mid-year, which was in December, my numbers changed. I went from 9 kids, mid or above, to 20 kids, mid or above. 20 early on 4th grade, 26 1 grade level below, 4 2 grade levels below, and 2 that are 3 or more. We skip in time to March, which we just took this one. This is our spring diagnostic. I now have 34 children that are projected to score proficient on TCAP this year. From 9. And our TCAP data is within 1 point, or our iReady data, sorry, is within 1 point of our TCAP data. So that's how closely aligned this is with our TCAP. I have 20 more kids who are early on grade level, 16 who are 1 grade level below, 3 2 grade levels below, and I only have 1 that is now 3 grade levels below. If you flip your paper over to this very last slide, this is where the power comes in. Each piece of information that I gave you earlier is one part of what these kids have achieved. If you look at the final data, look at how that green line has moved from the right, from the left to the right. And look at how that red is almost gone now. That's the power in the data. That's the power in what we're doing.
Thank you. Joyce Bain. Joyce.
Joyce Sparks.
Yes, Sparks.
What?
All right, let's do this. I know, tell me about it. My daughter was first, so I guess I'm gonna be the last, okay? Let me start off. There was a comment made to me that kids should not be here. Oh,
Name, address, and.
oh, sorry. Andy Sparks, Martha Davis Circle. What else did you need? That's it, right? Subject,
Yeah.
math, not English. When you listen to this, Allied. It has nothing to do with English, because I'm bad at it. Okay, well, when I first got here, there was a comment that kids should not be here. This is not a conversation where they should be at. And I just want to make it clear, they all need to be heard. Okay, so here we go. All right, it has been brought to my attention that Allied Behavioral Health Solutions may discontinue in Jefferson County schools. If the ABHS becomes discontinued in Jefferson County School, it will affect many parents and kids. With me being a mom of a child that is in the ABHS organization, I have found that this organization has helped my child tremendously. In the beginning, I was notified my daughter was having struggles. I didn't know what to do, where to turn, how this would work out. I knew one thing my child needed, help fast. I was informed about Allied Behavioral Health Solutions. At first, I was in total denial. As I read the online website, meeting with a therapist, knew I needed to pursue on. As a mom, I knew I could not
put a Band-Aid on this and kiss her pain and tell my child it will be okay. So I asked the therapist to send me the papers and let's get this process going. ABHS has helped all of us as a family. One, definitely cost, because I cannot afford this on my own. Have the program inside the school where she is able to see the therapist, plus have the sense of relief to know the therapist is there. My biggest thing in life is communication, is everything's team, which my child therapist has helped her and the family on ways to talk with my child. As of day one, ABHS has helped me open up as a parent, help my daughter cope with life. To this day, I greatly appreciate what ABHS has done. Now today, she is smiling, talking, hanging out with her family and friends. And I just let you know, today is the day she opened up to all of you. She has not been able to talk to anybody about she is self-harming, she is suicidal, she is depression or anxiety. She opened up the first time today in front of all of you, so you guys can understand what her therapist has done for her, okay? She is learning to speak up about her struggles to the public, and I have watched the hard times and walked away or using a coping skill to help her understand the why. I ask as a parent of a child, do not discontinue this organization, for I am speaking for many parents. Please don't let me get a phone call from her that we have been denied.
I'll go with the last name here, Kirkpatrick. Kirkpatrick. Here we go.
Here we go.
You've been waiting patiently, ma'am.
It's okay.
Appreciate it. State your name,
My name
address,
is Levine
and
Kirkpatrick. I live
what's the first name, please?
Levine
Okay.
Kirkpatrick, 1026 Hillview Drive
Right,
in Danbridge.
okay, go ahead.
Okay. I have spent over 40 years in the healthcare industry as an RN and a director, and I also served on the regulatory board under the Department of Health. So what we're talking about here is healthcare. And I have to tell you, we've got a lot of courageous people here, and wow, I don't mean that, and I don't think there's enough counselors in the world. Honestly, what has happened to our society? I mean, I'm going to be 65. We had issues in school, but what's going on? So I'm going to take a different approach to this. And what I'm going to talk about is your liability as a board. Now we're going to talk about it. You have a doctor that refers you to a dermatologist. First mistake. Your doctor ought to be giving you 2 names at least, or 1 additional name. Because the physician that refers you to a doctor can be liable if something goes wrong. Now, we've heard that Allied Health has seen over 700 students and has had 0 negative outcome. Healthcare, that's like a miracle. I've never heard of that in healthcare before. So there is a chance that maybe somewhere down the road they may make a mistake. But right now, they are your preferred provider in your schools. You, the board, has to make a decision whether that is legally liable for you or not. And that's really what I'm here to come to say. Because I think parents and families need a choice. That's my opinion, that's my professional opinion. It's not anything against SPOR, it's saying, you need to look at this. You need to look at this in the contract that you write for the benefit of everybody. Everybody that serves our students in Jefferson County. Thank you very much.
David Shaker.
Is that David again? David.
Gone.
You gone? Ian O'Connor. Okay. Name, address, 7 minutes, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. My name's Ian O'Connor. I live on Dock Ferry Road in Dandridge. I'm here to speak about Allied Health. This is not a topic I ever thought I'd really have to discuss in public. We've had some tough times in the last year and a half, but this decision could really impact my family in a big way, so I felt like I should be here. We have 2 children in the elementary schools in Jeff County, and one of those has really struggled with some pretty severe anxiety for about a year and a half. And it's a pretty horrible experience to see. To see your child not be able to enjoy being a child, because it's a really horrible thing to see as a parent. Our experience led us to our pediatrician and the East Tennessee Children's Hospital Developmental Behavior Center, which ultimately has led us to therapy and counseling. We went through 3 different outside services before we got to Allied, and spent over 6 months trying to find the right fit for our family. And we found it, and it's been amazingly successful. I think, one of the big aspects of that is it being in school, because we get this great communication with not only Machina, but our teacher. So we pretty much have our whole day covered. You know what she's acting like at school, what she's feeling, and that helps guide us at home to know how we're adjusting things, and then we give them feedback to know how to adjust things at school and target our approach to help her thrive. And I think that's a big thing I've noticed tonight. I guess I want to make known from our perspective is that their purpose is not to change our children at all. They're giving them tools to be who they are, to be more successful academically, socially, emotionally, and be able to be happy kids. It's really hard to watch a kid not be happy. This relationship has taken us, like I said, over a year and a half to develop, and I think it would be very detrimental to see that taken away. And it's not just it being in the school, because I know you can hire another service, but having that relationship taken away would really be harmful to a lot of kids and families.
Thank you. All right, Jeff Lansdowne. Name, address, and
Jeff Lansdowne, Forest Ridge Road, Danvers, Tennessee. With the permission of the young lady back here who spoke about Dr. Benjamin Rush, I'm going to add just a little bit to his biography. He was the founding father of the United States, a signer of the Declaration of Independence. He was considered to be, by medical professionals, to be the doctor of American psychiatry, or the father of American psychiatry. In 1965, he was awarded that distinction by the Psychiatric Association of America. I say that so that I can read a quote that goes along with something that she said. To quote him, he says, "If we were to remove the Bible from public schools, we would be wasting so much time punishing crimes and taking so little pains to prevent them." Now, those are his words, now in my own words. As the father of American psychiatry, Dr. Benjamin Rush realized that the root cause of mental illness is sin, and that the only solution to the problems that we face in our society come from the eternal and holy Word of God and the study of His Word. In closing, I'd like to say that instead of relying on the fallible thoughts and ideas of sinful man, I recommend and ask that the Jefferson County School Board allow biblical teaching to be reinstated in our schools beginning in kindergarten. The book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 6 says, "Train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they get old, they will not depart from it." Thank you.
Next is Freedom Romance. We have history.
Is policy 5.113 on the agenda tonight?
Which one now?
In service? It's not. Okay, can I speak about math then?
You got 3 minutes, you better hurry.
Okay.
Name,
I'm ready.
address,
Trevor.
and
Trevor with the Q. All right, I'm Brittany Romans. I'm on Tristan Road in Dandridge. I'm here to talk about math and the math curriculum for tonight. I do want to say, Coach Bradley, I really appreciate you coming into my school and watching a math lesson taught by a 3rd grade teacher.
I had a hoot.
I know, I'm so glad.
I know where the right triangle is now.
I know teachers reach out.
3rd grade
I know.
level.
And I appreciate, not that, trying to embarrass those that didn't come, but you may have gone to other schools, or you answered teachers' questions, or you were very responsive online. But it was so cool to see you in a 3rd grade classroom. I'm hopeful that you saw students who were engaged, who were being respectful of each other. That doesn't come without a math curriculum that has discourse and critiquing built into it. Those students had to be taught how to do that, and that curriculum sets us up to be able to do that. Through the critiquing, I hear some people saying, like, students should not be critiquing their work, and I find that very concerning. I've been teaching writing like a madwoman for the last several weeks as we prepare for this TCAP writing test, and I know how important it is for children to learn at such a young age that everything they do isn't perfect the first time, that making mistakes is very important, and to look at something you've done or something you're about to say and say, can I do this better? Can this be said in a more respectful way? Can this be done more efficiently? Those are skills that children need to learn now, along with their peers. And in order to do that, they have to be taught respectful discourse. We're training children to be members of this community. Our community wants to be a group of people who can respectfully have conversations and to critique what we're doing here every day. That starts in my classroom. And the math curriculum that's up for adoption really does equip all math teachers to prepare students for that task. So when you're considering that tonight, please take that into consideration. Thank you.
Laura Woodson. Name and address and etc.
Laura Woodson, Sandalwood Lane in Dandridge, and I'm here to talk about Allied Health. I'm the parent of a student at Dandridge Elementary. My daughter utilizes the Allied Health Behavioral Solutions resource offered to Jefferson County. This has been a very important resource for our family, as you have heard, for many other families in the community as well. I think it's dangerous and irresponsible resolution to consider removing this resource from our schools. To start, parents have to be willing to give their consent for their children to take part in the program. So there is parent involvement. While the child is promised confidentiality, therapists will make parents aware of any issues they feel could cause harm to the child. However, I feel like we need a place we can go to confide in others without fear of judgment, ridicule, embarrassment, or harassment.
It's none of our business what another family or another child is going through and what they choose to discuss with their therapist. As long as the family and the child have agreed upon the discussion, that's what's important, that they're getting the help they need. Removing this program just ensures that our children have one less safe space they can draw upon in their lives. I think we're all aware of the mental health challenges that are facing our country, but largely our children. Many families do not have the ability to utilize health insurance to help pay for the counseling services, and without the access to this free service in school, they will likely fall through the cracks. The intolerance and condemnation to be able to discuss LGBTQ+ issues makes a whole group of people feel ostracized and forgotten about. We don't get to pick and choose the obstacles that we come up against in our lives, and I think it's unhealthy to remove a system that will enable our children with the tools to understand who they are and how to move through life as a well-rounded person. And in response to some of the feedback as far as bringing in another resource, if Allied is voted out and a new service is brought in, what happens when a child brings up an LGBTQ+ issue? Are they dismissed? Are they turned away? Like I said, we don't get to choose our issues. We get to be able to have a conversation and address them. So let's give our children the opportunity to keep the conversation open. Thank you.
Angela Davis.
She had to leave. She left.
All right, next is Paul Hammer. State your name, address, and topic, please.
I've got a few things to hand out. Enjoy. My name is Paul Hammer. I live at 878 East Highway 2570 in Dandridge, outside of Dandridge. There's a verse in Proverbs in the Bible that says that the wicked freely strut about when what is vile is honored among men. In the New Testament, Jesus Christ told his disciples that when a man encourages children to sin, he put it when he causes one of these little ones to sin, it would be better for him if a great stone was tied around his neck and he was cast into the sea. The GLBTQ agenda is created by adults to influence children. I personally saw the transgender unicorn that was designed to entice children. Your job is to protect the children from this GLBTQ agenda. I have in my hands an issue of the Epic Times. Billion-dollar transgender industry leaves broken families and lives. The transgender ideology was created by a quack by the name of John Money. The whole theory is a quack. It doesn't exist. The Bible says there are only male and female. The Bible is correct. The modern theories are garbage. The modern theories today are no more valid than eugenics was 100 years ago, and the scientific establishment at that time recognized that as valid. So here we go again, another iteration in some new fad that is dreamed up by quack academics producing quack research, quack scholarship, and quack theory. The transgender agenda is about three things: removing the stigma from perversion, grooming children for sex, and crushing the opposition to that agenda. A perfect example is just up the road here at Greenville with the Methodist Children's Home, which is being pressured by the Fed to adopt this agenda. This agenda is about the convenience of adults. You show me the incentive, and I will show you the outcome. Billions of dollars are flowing into this. The whole medical fields are eaten up.
Dr. John Cummings. Dr. John Cummings. State your name, address.
Dr. John Cummins, 1705 New Circle, Newmarket. I want to talk about Allied, and I think that it's been an interesting night, to say the least. But as I said the last time, Allied Behavioral Health is a Trojan horse. It doesn't matter how they doctor it up or how they put sparkle on this Trojan horse. They've scrubbed it up, they've shined it up, they've lied about the web pages, or they're totally irresponsible and don't understand how to run a business. It was interesting to find out that they're making no money. I don't know exactly how you function with that, but I don't believe that either. So what we've seen is a lot of lies, a lot of cover-up. There's two sexes, male and female. I don't know what people can't get that through their heads, but what's dangerous to children is a group of people that will affirm transgenderism, and that was one of their stated goals. And you have to face that. So I'm asking, it's hard not to be emotional, but I'm asking you to do the proper thing tonight as men and women. And you know what that is? It is a 7-0 vote to get these guys out and to find a better group that will not be grooming children, even if it's just one. They do some good. We have to admit that. But there are other groups, and they're not going to be grifting and looking for cash. Thank you.
Sharon Cummings.
Sharon Cummins, 1705 Lee Circle, Newmarket, Tennessee, Allied.
Thank you.
Well, I had anxiety as a child. I've got anxiety tonight, and I wasn't medicated for it. And thank God I wasn't counseled by LGBT counselors, and I've overcome some things, and I'm healthy. So I'm just saying that anxiety can be fixed in a better way than what we've got here. Okay, so back to my speech. On behalf of my 4 school-age grandchildren, and for their young friends and all their peers in this county, I'm reminding you that we need to dispose of this corrupt organization, Allied Behavioral Health. The whole society is spinning with confusion on sex and gender and morality. We as adults see it and feel it. So do the children. It's hard on them. Let's protect them every way we can. I'm sure that we've been lied to tonight, at least in the details. Some people have the luxury of a private or homeschool education, but for the rest, let us not expose any child that comes to school angry or hurting or unwashed or uncared for or hungry. Let's not have that child be placed in a closed room where there are counselors who have been assigned that they affirm this LGBTQ stuff. So that there is any risk that they would be told as a little boy that he could be a little girl, or as a little girl that she could be a hawk, or much darker things. Anything that a child might latch onto as a whim or fancy, or an escape hatch. And so I'm going to pray right now and I want everyone to pray with me. Lord of heaven, we invoke you to bear down on the hearts of the men and women to vote today, and remind them to do what is right, and remind them that on their watch, this evil ideology must not win in our county. Amen.
Natalie Coleman.
I got a question. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask a question, so I'm just school board meetings, my kids are just in the school board, but anyway. Are we talking about, mental health, or are we here for LGBTQ stuff? That's my question.
For you, did I call your name out?
No, I'm just asking. I'm
Well,
asking.
you can't.
Okay, gotcha.
It's been a long night. Where did I get to? Coleman?
That's right.
Huh? No, it's
She left, Natalie Coleman left.
okay, thank you. All righty. Reagan McLeod.
She also left.
What's all the fun in this? Hold on a minute. Page 3. Pam. The last name I can't read. Look like Deeks.
I wrote it really fast and really nervously.
Pam Oaks.
Yeah. As you can
That's
tell,
Oaks.
well, I wrote it really fast. I was real nervous. I saw you for my run today, and there was no way I was coming. There are people that are looking and going, she has never walked into a school board meeting. And they are in shock, and I understand.
Is that you waved me?
I did. Yeah, it's like I was running. Like you
Now,
dropped the water or something. So I apologize. I did not plan to speak. I was not planning to do anything but walk in, support my principal, and
All right,
leave.
name, address, and
There
second.
you go. Willox Drive, Dandridge. I teach at Piedmont Elementary School.
Gotcha.
And I teach 5th grade. And I want to say thank you to Allied. I cannot thank them enough, especially this week. We had a student has been receiving services all year, and his behavior has begun to escalate. Our counselor works with him. I am grateful for my principal that works with him, and our team works with him. And his behavior has escalated and escalated. He has been suicidal. But this week he came in and said he wanted to kill our principal. And he wanted to kill other students. And he wanted to kill me. And I am thankful for our allied counselor who was able to recognize that and speak with him and get him to my principal and call detectives and have that taken care of. Please do not remove these people from our living. He would not have told me that. He wouldn't have told anyone else that. But he had a relationship with his counselor. I don't know which one of you was going to call my husband, my high school sweetheart, my husband of 33 years, and tell him that his wife has been killed at work. I don't know which one of you was going to go and tell my husband that, or my children, or tell my grandson, my brand new grandson, that his Gammy's not coming back and he will never see her again. I don't know who's going to do that. I am praying for that child diligently. The same God you serve is the same God I serve. And I think it was a divine intervention that day. It was divine. So just like in Esther, when there was a reversal of destiny for him, because it was a reversal of destiny for me and for my principal and others in my building. Please do not remove them. Thank you.
Little Mayor. Name, address, and send it, please.
My name is Laura Mayer. I live at Roy Messer Highway in White Pine. I am a student at Jefferson County High School, and I am speaking on Allied. So what I have to say isn't very long. I just wanted to say this after hearing the stuff of what people said. I have personally heard from people who were in school after Allied came in that there were no people who identified as something other than their own gender, even if they were gay or lesbian. If Allied really does not try to indoctrinate children, how come after this came in 2019, it seems like most students around me identify as something other than their biological gender? Why have so many people changed all of a sudden after 2019? I have met many people, only one student out of everyone I've met identified as their own gender and nothing other than their own gender, or something like, you can call me any gender. They only identified as their own biological gender. How are students identifying different from their own gender if it was not put into their minds? It seems oddly coincidental that this is happening. Now I do have friends that are gay and I adore them, so I don't hate or dislike people who identify like that. I accept them either way. And I just want to briefly go over this. I have seen a therapist and counselors in the past. One of the things that have always been asked is, are you feeling depressed? Are you feeling suicidal? Do you have anxiety? All of them have asked me this, and without a doubt, Allied therapists ask this as well. How do we know that maybe some of this is being put into the minds of them as well? Were the students, after being asked this, thinks, well, am I depressed? Is there something that's making me depressed? Therefore making the student try to answer this question, then resulting in putting it in their minds. I will say there's no doubt some of these counselors have helped many people, but it takes one bad one to hurt a few kids permanently. My statements are nothing personal, I just think we should choose another option other than Allied. I just want to say, what if Allied is creating a problem behind closed doors just so they can come and fix it to look good for funding? I don't know. So, because this is kind of what it seems like. This is simply what I have observed. Thank you, and that's all I have to say.
Crystal Tower. Maybe not. Crystal.
Hi, y'all.
Name, address, and subject, please.
Crystal Talent, Charles Court. I'm going to be speaking on Allied, and I'm going to try not to be a dead horse. I just do have to give kudos to, I guess, whoever brought up this issue, because you made some of these girls and students that we have brave enough to come up here and talk to a group, and I would be scared to death to do that. So that's just awesome. I'm absolutely amazed that you just have that in you to do that. You're going to do amazing things, and I'm just so very impressed with that. So if nothing else, we got to see those kids do that and actually do it not on social media, which is amazing. I work a lot with the schools, and I just have a few things that I'm kind of concerned about, because I do work in the trenches with a lot of kids. We have a lot of NAS kids and kids who have been affected by ACEs. I know that a lot of people have said, oh, well, there's Helen Ross McNabb that we can go to, or Cherokee Hill Systems, or other organizations that we can hit up if we do away with Allied. Somebody brought up the van for McNabb Center. It is overbooked. You have to have appointments for that. And also, I don't know about you guys, but if I had to be carted to the Justice Center for mental health treatment, and I was already anxious, like, that would scare me to death. To walk on a bus with a bunch of strangers that may change week to week and be worried about somebody from school seeing me and having another stigma attached to me on top of maybe somebody already knowing that I'm anxious. How will this affect the Resilient Schools Community Grant that is part of the AWARE program that we have? I don't know if you guys are aware of SAMHSA. It's a Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration, and that's a federal administration. It's nationwide, and they have a tendency to support LGBTQI plus youth and different initiatives. They support the awareness weeks, and that's who that funding for the grant comes from. So what's going to happen to that money that we're making back? A lot of people have spoken about Allied Health making all this money. I don't know if anybody has ever worked for the state or worked with a company that has contracted any services through TIMCO or through any state organization. You get paid maybe 50 to 75% of what the going rate is. you don't make a lot of money. The program I work with is a federal program. We have to have certain vendors for the program, and they don't make jack. Like, they barely cut even. They are just the angels of the earth for coming in and doing the things that we have done. Also, real quick, the Doctor of American Psychiatry, lobotomies. That's all I'm going to say with that
Good job. Michelle Knight. Name, address, and such.
When you get those pictures, you'll understand why I didn't enlarge them.
Go ahead and state your name, address, and such.
Michelle Light, Woodbriar, gender, exploration, identity, and identity furniture. So, this is the gender unicorn. Y'all have all seen it many times today. This is where a child would put their name and their pronoun. And this was promoted on Allied social media pages. I've shared it before. They took it off their Facebook page right after the February school board meeting, but it's still up on Instagram. The gender unicorn is a tool, and it's originally from transstudent.org. That's where it comes from. The basic idea is to teach kids they could be trapped in the wrong body, and I'm not kidding you. I can't begin to explain how confusing the gender unicorn is. I spent hours watching videos on how it's used. And there's no way I would ever allow this confusing mental manipulation tool to be used on my children and grandchildren, yet it's being advocated. In a recent interview with the Standard Banner, Allied said they don't use the gender uniform, and they don't counsel on gender. It's just advocated on their Instagram page. Here's Allied's website, where they said they do exploration of gender and sexual identity under child and adolescent counseling services. This was removed after the February meeting. And the picture that you're looking at currently, this is a guy named Landon Pan. If you look here, here's his name right here, Landon Pan. He's the designer of the gender uniform. So look closely at how he's dressed and look at what's in his hand. That picture is on his Instagram page. This is the person helping children and families understand gender? Really? He states throughout his Instagram page that he is transmasculine, non-binary, pansexual. He says his gender identity is still evolving and he uses the pronouns they, them. His artwork consists of the gender unicorn and of groups of transgender people in naked paint parties, some who have had surgically removed body parts so they can conform to their gender identity. In my opinion, medical personnel affirming that people should remove their body parts is cruel. And all the pictures that concerned citizens have shared about Allied's website and social media platform well established their ideology. Over 75% of their social media posts were dedicated to LGBTQ, happy pride, coming out, transgender themes, going so far as to use the word homophobia for anybody that would disagree. Peer pressure and the internet are pushing kids into social contagions right now. We should not be affirming this. We should not be doing affirming practices. Look again at the picture. Does it disturb you? Because it disturbed me. Chloe Cole, I went and got to hear her in Nashville, and she had a double mastectomy at the age of 15. The affirming care began in the head, and then it went and it transformed. And once she decided that she had made a mistake, the LGBTQ community dumped her. They didn't want anything to do with it.
Mayor. Name, address, and such.
Hi, my name's Dawn Mayer. On Roy Messer Highway, White Pines, and I'm speaking on Allied. And as I said in the work session earlier, we do
know that mental support services are in fact a necessity, no doubt. With that said, we don't really want to see the Allied contract canceled, but rather allowed to expire to give our school ample time to do a new fair competitive bid and get the resources in place before the next school year. This way, no student goes without. Again, I'll say it again, it is paramount that we take great care to properly vet with due diligence a provider that can appropriately guide our kids back on a healthy path to help plant their feet back in the ground. On another note, with all due respect, it's no secret that our country is in chaos, and the public school system is no stranger to this. Doesn't it feel like corruption is closing in from all directions, targeting people of all ages? I can't help but wonder if the devil himself has released the modern day version of Legion upon humankind, and that's why it feels like it's coming from everywhere. The devil wears many costumes and puts on many hats, and is the master of illusion. So what do we do? The only answer is to do the right thing. What does the Bible say about taking appropriate action? James 4:17. So whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is sin. James 1:23-25. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks intently at his natural face in a mirror. For he looks at himself and goes away at once, forgets what he was like. But the one who looks into the perfect law, the law of liberty, and perseveres, being no hearer who forgets, but a doer who acts, he will be blessed in his doing. And remember what Jesus said, let the children come to me. Thank you.
Is anybody's name that I skipped over this time? Anybody? Longer than I give you the other back. You let me get too close to that door. All right, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Any corrections to the minutes? Nope. Is there a motion to approve this consent agenda?
So moved.
Doug? Second? Good job, get that. So motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, raise your right hand. And 7-0. Let's see. Committee reports, we don't have anything. Policy committee, and we are budget amendments. We've got three, we'll vote on these separately. Is there a motion to approve general purpose fund 141 and amendments 19 and 20? Did you get that? Danny made a motion to approve general purpose funds 141 and 141, 1920. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Then we'll take a vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 7. Unfinished business. I need to go home. B, Federal Purpose Fund 142, amendment number 15. Is there a motion? Nancy makes the motion to approve. Or to make the motion to approve the amendment. Is there a second? I'll second it. So the motion been made and seconded to approve budget amendment 142, number 15. Any discussion? See or hearing none. Everybody raise your right hand for in favor of this. And it is 7-0. Budget amendment C, student nutrition fund 143, budget amendment 6. Motion, Bill. Right.
Second.
Prohibition, you got a second, Doug, thank you. So, motion has been made and seconded to approve in Fund 143, amendment number 6. Any discussion? No? All in favor, raise your right hand. Boom, boom, boom. 7-0. Okay. No unfinished business. Next is new business. Okay, and all right, first on the agenda under new business is Allied Behavioral Health Contract, and I think we're going to have Carrie Trent, I'm going to call on her to come up and speak, and to frequently asked questions, right?
Mental health services in Jefferson County, where have we been? Cherokee Health System served Jefferson County schools with 2 therapists from 2013 to 2018, then unexpectedly pulled out of serving students and schools in August of 2018. A district mental health team led by Mandy Snipman was developed the fall of 2018 to look for other community agencies to partner with our district for therapy-based behavioral supports. At that time, Youth Villages, Helen Ross McNabb, Frontier, Cherokee Health Systems, and local social workers were contacted to discuss service options and interests. None of these agencies had extra staff or were willing to hire additional staff to support students for even a minimal caseload for 2 therapists. Requests continued to come in from teachers and school counselors on the need for behavioral and mental health supports due to the increasing number of students exhibiting out-of-control behavior, crisis situations, and true mental health needs that teachers are not trained to address. In 2019, the team decided the Allied Behavioral Health Solutions, and they agreed to provide 2 school-based behavioral health liaisons to provide services beginning in August. By January, the student population requesting services had grown, and 2 additional school-based behavioral health liaisons were added in January 2020. There is a bid process that runs through our county finance department for mental health services. For this school year, the only bid received was from Allied Behavioral Health, and we are currently in contract with them for the remainder of the school year. Where are we now? We currently have 12 school-based behavioral health liaisons in our school district that have seen approximately 485 students this school year alone. Since I took this position as supervisor of student support in January of 2021, not one single parent who has utilized this service for their child has complained to me. Not one. This shows the level of relationships they build with their students and the families they serve. Every student who is seen must have a parent consent and an intake meeting with the parent before services can begin. Even where law allows students to make their own mental health decisions, our mental health providers encourage parent participation as long as it does not adversely affect the mental needs for students. They work alongside families to help their children get the supports they need to be successful. Many families and students in Jefferson County are struggling. They struggle with poverty, trauma, abuse, grief, substance abuse, and mental illness, to name a few. This school year, our schools have made over 145 DCS referrals and made over 72 mobile crisis calls for students who are actively having thoughts of wanting to kill themselves while at school. Not to mention the students who have actively tried to commit suicide while in our school buildings this school year. The work our school-based behavioral health liaisons provide also has an effect on school safety. As you've heard, last school year we've had 40 threat assessments completed. This year we've already had 65 threat assessments completed and approaching 70. In addition, we have had 13 students arrested this school year due to posing threats to our schools. There were only 2 arrested last year.
Last week, an allied therapist was directly responsible for averting an act of school violence in one of our schools. The student disclosed his wish to harm others, he had a plan, and he had acquired weapons. This therapist acted immediately and worked with administration and the sheriff's department to address this situation. If this student had not been seeing an allied therapist, and if that therapist had not acted immediately, the student was to carry out their plan to kill staff and students the very next day. By addressing this mental health needs of our students, this helps to provide a line of defense for all students. Not all students with a mental illness become violent, but we do know that many school shooters do have a mental health diagnosis. Where do we go in the future? Jefferson County Schools is confident Allied is not currently, nor have they ever been, indoctrinating students or providing gender-affirming medical services. However, we can place a clause in our contract going forward to help reassure those citizens who are concerned or may have been misguided as to the parameters of mental health counseling for students. I would like to encourage the board to listen to those currently working in our school system who know the impact this program has had on the lives of our students and families when forming a decision. Think about the teachers who are not equipped or trained to address mental health needs. Think about those 485 students and parents who have received the service this school year alone. Think about how removing this service denies many families access to quality mental health service, and many families don't have the money to take their child to Hamlin, Knox, or Sevier for appointments. Think about the impact this has on school safety, and think about doing what's right for students when making this decision.
Thank you, ma'am.
Do you all have any questions? Hey, I did want to say something about Helen Ross McNabb. We do have one state funded behavioral health liaison that Helen Ross McNabb has that contract with the state. That position has been absent for a couple of months because they've not been able to replace it. That person left, and they've told us to refer all of our new referrals to Allied because they don't know when it can be replaced, and that's one position.
Ms. Grant, I got
Yes.
a question. You said something about clause, if we put in the contract, a clause or something. And I just wondered what clause would you put in that for?
Well, I mean, I think that that's something that we can discuss, but assuring that they're not providing medical treatment, something outside of what they are supposed to be doing as a state recognized and lots of federal people over you all. I mean, I think we work together with the board, with them, to put in something that is satisfying for everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
Allied Behavior Health contract, is there a motion?
I want to say this, and I guess I can't say it until I make a motion, then we can discuss it. I hear both sides, and I'm a Christian. I'm saved by Jesus Christ. I know I'm going to heaven, but our kids need help. I'm going to speak. Can I speak? I live at Maurice Farm. I live at 1136 EMK Road. I had an opportunity to work in Jefferson County School for 16 years as a school resource officer. And mental health is very bad in school. I'm just using Johnny, Sue, whoever, you see them come off the bus. And I'm going to tell you, as me, as a school resource officer, I see them students come off the bus. Mr. Overton can tell you, he can tell you. And if they have a bad day, they look at you, they say, hey, you need to me, I think it need to be an invention to post that kid, hey, I sat down and eat lunch with you today, when you talk. That's how I look at things. I ain't trying to toot my horn. That's how you got to look at these kids. I know we need more help. And this is what I'm going to do. I know it's going to I know I'm going to hear it, but I'm going to make a motion to keep Allied as two things. The clause that Tommy and Miss Trent watched them on that LGB, whatever, when they start pushing that agenda, I think this board should know and we should get them out of here because I think our kids need mental health. I think there's some kids. You look at some of these people that got up and spoke tonight about their kids. What would we do? I know this side, ma'am, trust me, I know. I talk to you all, I understand. But these kids need something, there ain't no other company out there. We can do this all night long. I make a motion to approve Ally on clause, they don't push that LBG and get that unicorn off of Instagram or whatever they got. Because I believe in Jesus Christ, okay? My personal saying, I make a motion to that.
Okay, hold on just a second. You have got to put a motion.
Okay.
And you've got to write it down or something.
Okay.
Because I had to repeat it and I cannot repeat it.
Okay.
Write it down or shorten your motion down or something.
I make a motion to keep Ally as mental health.
Right over there.
Okay.
She's the
very
right.
slow. I'm going very slow. I make a motion to keep Ally as mental health and in the clouds that Tommy, Dr. Arnold, excuse me, Tommy, and his trend liaison for Ally to make sure they ain't pushing that LGBT grant, that whatever it is, I don't get it. But I just want to put that in a motion to make sure it's, unicorn's gotta go. I'm sorry. And I leave that in my motion. Did you get that, Ms. Swan? And I don't want nobody, you know, I'm gonna
Have you
discuss.
made the motion?
Okay.
You made your motion, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you gotta stop. You gotta stop for a minute.
Okay.
Now, you got it, right? I got it. Okay, a motion has been, made and seconded, and I would like for the secretary to repeat that motion if you could. Nancy seconded, I'm sorry.
Okay, the motion on the floor is Solomon made the motion to approve to keep the Allied Behavioral Health contract as mental health and add a clause, Dr. Arnold and Carrie Trent, that they are not pushing the LGBTQ.
And the unicorn.
Okay, I have, hold on a minute. I think I have some bad news, and that your motion is out of order because you have two questions in there. You have two different things that have to be voted on.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
You understand? You know, you made your motion to keep Allied Health, and then you also put in there that's Carrie and somebody, so see those two questions there.
Okay.
And Robert's Rules of Order only allows you to have one.
I got you.
Now, you can make one and then you can make another,
Okay, I'm gonna go with that first motion,
the first half of it.
the first half of it. And I want a roll call vote on that too.
Well, I got you. Thank you. Repeat the first half.
Solomon made the motion to approve to keep the Allied Behavioral Health contract.
Okay, that sounds good. That's one question.
Okay, sir.
Got you, Mary. Second. So the motion has been made and seconded to keep the Allied Health Behavioral Contract. Even I got that. Okay. Now then, next, we can discuss or debate. There's a little bit of a difference between the two, but I think this is a very serious situation. But we're going to have decorum, and we're going to be nice to each other. Because it's 10:15, and I'm usually drunk at that time. So you get the first speak.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and just say, you know, that, we might went by like, cause there's been a lot of people spoke here, and there's a lot of people spoke against it, but I ain't pushing the LG whatever, and that, you know, I ain't not pushing that. If it starts in this, I want Tommy or somebody to get taken care of, but I just wanna thank the people for staying this late, because this had been really on my mind for a whole 3 weeks. I talked to them, I talked to everybody, I tried to stay in the middle. I didn't know what I was going to do tonight. I didn't know And I just think our kids need help. And I just think if we start doing some different things, we might be messing up, and then we're gonna have a whole lot more on our hands. And I want to thank the school, the teacher, I want to thank the students that got up and spoke on this side, whoever. It's their opinion, this is a great American way, but I just think that as a school board member, I just want to do what's right, I think, in my heart. And I think that's right in my heart, and I'm sorry if I make some offend some or whatever, because it's done been, somebody done say, if you need 1 year out of county if you go for this, but whatever. It was told to me, I don't play them games. I live in this county as Jefferson County. I was represented by the school board as my districts in Jefferson County. And I just want to say that, I'm sorry, but I just think it's best for our staff and our students to have this, but if anything comes out of pray on it and about that, everything else, I won't make the name motion in a minute. Keep that stuff out of our schools. Because I believe in the Bible. I think we should have Bible back in school. I wish we could get that back in. I don't know why to do it, but I think we need to have the Bible back in school. I think that can help a lot of problems. Students solve a lot of problems. So I'll leave it at that.
Anybody else?
Nancy second.
Well, you can't go ahead.
I'll try to keep it together. I think if you stick to the facts are, y'all got the same emails from the teachers, from the principals, from parents. The children, whatever the proper verbiage is, standing up. I commend you for doing that. I mean, mental health is real. Parents, it's awful. It is bad. When we were in school, we didn't worry about these things. We didn't worry about active shooters. We didn't have any of this stuff. I don't get it. The doors weren't locked. Everything wasn't fenced around it. I didn't think about that, and it's on our kids' minds non-stop. So I don't get the LGBTQ. I don't get the gender transitioning. I have daughters that are athletes. I don't need a boy competing against my daughter. I don't get it. But what these kids need are some help, and that's why we sit here. And it's helping our teachers, it's helping our principals. And
yes.
Are you done this?
I'm good.
I'm taking a little bit different approach in that a lot has been said here about mental health. I don't think there's a person in this room, I'm speaking for myself, I can't speak for anybody else, who doesn't think there should be mental health in our schools. Question is, who provides it? We've heard a lot about Allied tonight, and we've heard other companies referred to, McNabb, Cherokee, whoever else, all right? I don't believe in terminating contracts. Contracts to me is a handshake done in good faith. So I would like to make the following amendment to the motion.
You have it written down.
I do have it written down.
Sure you're making it the right way.
All right.
We have a motion on the floor, don't we?
And I'm amending that motion.
We don't have a motion already on the floor.
Well, that's the main motion. The main motion is the lowest order, and you have subsidiary motions, there's about 7 of them. There's a postpone indefinitely, and I think next is amend and refer to a committee, and then postpone to the next meeting, and lay on the table.
Well, mine is an amendment.
So you are making an amendment, and you are correct. The main motion is the lowest as you can go on the motion. So you're going up a ladder.
I move that this school board actively solicit letters of interest from qualified firms to provide Jefferson County School District behavioral health program for the school year 2023-2024. Once received, the school board shall review, interview, and vote as to who will receive this contract. Any new agreement will go into effect only after the present provider's existing contract for the 2022-2023 school year expires on June 30th, 2023.
Okay, the amendment's out of order. You did not amend that motion. You amend the motion by inserting something, taking something out, or doing both, or add a phrase to the end. See, what you've done, you've added another question to that motion. You didn't change, you didn't amend his motion.
Sure I did. He wants to keep Allied. I want to put out a competitive bid.
Well, that's another vote.
Yeah.
That's
you vote
another
on it,
question.
You have to
You
vote.
can't have
You have
two
to vote
questions.
on.
You cannot have two questions in a motion. So that is a second question, and you did not amend the motion. So I ruled it out of order. Okay.
All right.
You're adding
I don't agree,
another,
but I,
you're adding
the
another
chairman, you have
question
the
in
authority
there,
to do it.
and that is to take bids.
Yes.
Now, see, that's two things we're gonna have to vote on. Following, not just one. The motion can only have one question.
All right, now let me ask a question. After we vote on Mr. Solomon's motion, can I make this motion?
It's not on the agenda.
Certainly it is. It has to deal with Allied. Certainly it does.
Well, it says contract. It says allied behavior contract.
Right, and this is, after the present provider's existing contract for the 2023 school year expires, if you'd like me to insert, after Allied Behavioral Health's existing contract expires. It has to do with Allied, because they are our existing providers.
Their contract expires June 30th.
Yes, that's what I said, June 30th.
Right, so why not wait till after June 30th and then make that motion to next meeting? And then put.
Oh, all right, okay, then, okay, fine, then I'll make that at the next meeting.
Well,
That's fine.
I'm talking about the July meeting, then you could make the motion then.
No, because.
Go out to bid. Because their
But
contract.
as of June, their contract is over. As long as I can be assured that no contract with them is negotiated prior to the existing contract being up, then I have no problem.
Well, their contract is not up until June 30th.
Right, but contracts in many cases are negotiated prior to them being up and signed after the contract expires.
Okay, okay. Okay, amendment, that is not an amendment.
I will be happy to bring this up at the May meeting.
You have to do one.
I'll be happy to bring this up at the May meeting, as a separate motion.
Okay, then you would have to put, something on the agenda, you know.
Okay, well, that's
You
fine.
understand what I'm saying?
I'll do that at the end under Commissioner. That's fine.
That's fine, that's fine.
That's fine.
Okay.
All right.
I see where you're going.
I have no
So,
problem.
wait, I got, wait till July, that's probably too late, you're correct, I
Yes.
agree with you. So, let's, that's okay with you?
That's fine, May. I'll
I
put
think
it on the agenda at
I
the
think
end.
it's a good idea, but it's not.
Okay.
It didn't fit Robert's rules of order, okay? So what you have to do, and you could do it down here on this meeting where it says school commissioner input.
Yes.
Right, you could, put a heading of some kind of, you could take something out of your motion.
That's fine.
Out, putting contract out.
That's fine.
You follow me?
I do.
And then we can vote on it then.
Okay.
You happy?
Well, I'm not happy, but I'll accept it.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question for clarification on this. And, okay, so we all sitting here know that their contract's not up till June 30th. And am I wrong in that there has to be bids put out if you're gonna make a contract with somebody? There has to be, there has to be something out there that says, do you want to bid?
So,
It went out to bid.
it did go out to bid, because we did not want to sign a contract without bidding this large item.
Yeah, so this will, this,
We can continue services because it is I have the TCA code about 3 hours ago ready, I'm sorry. It was, it's a professional service. So we can continue services because we have a relationship with them. If he makes that motion, absolutely, we'll bid it out and
I just, I thought that
whatever's.
was like a process might just happen every year, that they would have to, advertise that this is going on and companies would bid. I mean, I thought that was something that happened every year.
Well, if I may speak.
Yeah, we bid it. The TCA, sorry, it's 12/3, 12/09. So it's the professional services contracts. It does allow us if we did not bid it, but at this point, I'm more than comfortable bidding it. Let's just put it that way. Yeah.
Well, my whole thing is if there's already a process and we're gonna keep our, cause I'm like the mayor said, not up for breaking no contract. We're already gonna be going through the process, why are we even saying anything? We should just be waiting until the time comes up and then look at the groups that are gonna be done. I mean, and we've only got about a month or so of school left.
Well,
So then no motion.
this was put on the agenda.
Yeah.
If I may speak, can I speak?
Yeah.
It was put on the agenda, and he has made a motion. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying that.
And I think that it went to bid, and they were the only one that did on the contract, correct? That's why they have the contract. They were the only one that even take it. Right? So, which is, thank you. So, okay. Yeah, let's get to moving.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes, sir. Oh, please.
We all got phone calls, we all got emails, we all got, I've talked to so many people in the past 2 or 3 weeks that when I came up here, I was gonna make a complete different motion. I don't know what it was, I've got it wrote down there. But after hearing everybody here speak, you know, I have to stand with this man right here, as long as that, the unicorn and all that stuff's coming, and mental health helps our kids, I'm all for it. So, that's all I gotta say.
Okay. Anybody else?
Clarification, so the motion as it stands right now, pretty much just says they get the contract for next year, or just through finishing out this year? Finishing out this till June. Oh,
Yeah, cause we ain't got nobody else if we do away.
So, Mr. Chairman, as I understand it, this motion is simply to allow Allied to complete the existing contract until it expires, this year, this school year. Thank you.
See, that's what you.
Yeah, no, I misunderstood the motion.
I think that might,
See,
I misunderstood.
I probably should say that you could amend this motion by putting the phrase at the end and putting
I
putting
misunderstood
the
the
date,
motion.
you know.
I get it.
And then that would have been okay. Anyway, anybody else want to speak?
I just wanna say, the reason why I put that motion, because I just wanna finish school year out, let's go forward, because we can't drop this in the middle of this, month left of school. That's the reason why we need to focus on this way.
I understand.
I would like to speak in a minute. Josh, you.
Go ahead.
I don't know, relieve you of your misery, right? Of course, I know everybody, I mentioned, I taught school. How many school teachers are there in here, by the way? Raise your hand. Yeah, okay. You all have a story to tell. I do too. And I'm not really going to share it as such, but as a teacher, I mean, teaching, you know, there has to be, you know that, mental health is a disease. You can't cure it with a vaccine. You can't punish it out of the kids. You can't do these things like you think you would do as a teacher. Okay? I had students who, we have 6 minutes between class change. And I would always have, every year, some students that just hang back and want to talk to you, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes they bring up their problems. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole because I'd be afraid I'd be sued. See, I'm not qualified. I'm not a qualified counselor. I could not give them more advice, and it is frustrating. And like I said, we all have stories we can share, and I think there is a need for mental health counseling in our schools. It's just the sign of the times, is all it amounts to. Anybody else want to speak? Okay. Now then, I am going to say something to correct what I done at the last meeting that Josh called. I called for the question, which is incorrect. What I'm supposed to say is the chair puts the question to a vote, right, which is not required. I was just using the wrong terminology. Well, basically now I'm going to put it to a vote. Now, Mr. Stallman has asked for a roll call vote. Here is the policy says roll call votes will be used at the discretion of the chairman or upon the request of any board member. Okay, and your vote will be recorded in the minutes. And that did not give me enough information, so I went to the book, and which I would like to make a vote anchor, but in there it says that we vote in alphabetical order, right? So, and then the chairman votes last. And so, let me clarify. The motion is to keep the Allied Health, behavioral health contract. And that's it, right? Okay. So I've stated the motion. A yes vote would keep the contract. I don't know what a no vote means, but anyway. So you just, when I call your name, you just say yes or no. So voting, saying yes, then you're affirming his motion. Josh?
Yeah.
Doug?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Danny?
Yes.
Maurice?
Yes.
Okay. Nancy? Then I'll vote yes. Okay, so I'll keep this one and give it to you, but it's unanimous. All righty. Next on the agenda is resolution number 2023-116, transportation surplus. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Solomon has moved to approve. You got the number, you got it right, you got the number. Yeah, you got a second, okay? Okay, this is, wait a minute, can you hear over this? Okay. I'm about to fall asleep. Okay. Okay, the motion has been made and seconded to approve resolution number 23-116, transportation surplus. Any debate? Any discussion? If not, I will call for the vote. All in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Okay, and it is 7-0. I'm trying to follow some. Okay, now we have number 3, elementary and middle school math textbook adoption curriculum associates are ready. I would like to have the floor, please, and I move to adopt elementary, middle school math curriculum called iReady. Okay. Did you get my motion?
I got it.
Okay. And Danny seconded the motion. All right, so a motion has been made and seconded to adopt the elementary and middle school math curriculum referred to as iReady. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none, then we'll put it to a vote. If there's no more debate, then there was none. So all in favor of this math curriculum, this motion, please raise your right hand. And unanimous. Okay. Number 4 on the agenda, if I may, I'll move to adopt the high school math textbook adoption. I don't know what that stands for. Say that.
That's something.
Say that's how you say it. What is it? Hey.
Boy, it's getting late, isn't it?
It's a long way. It's a long way. And, okay. So a motion has been made and seconded.
He made the motion.
No, Moose did. Moose.
Who's made the motion?
No, I made the motion.
Coach made the motion.
And Moose seconded. Okay. Is that right? So a motion been made and seconded to adopt the high school math textbook curriculum. SAVAS or SAVAS. It's a long name. SAVAS. Any discussion?
I'll say yes. It's
Okay.
not much of a discussion, but I didn't get to go to look at the stuff, but I viewed it online, and I appreciate the teachers reaching out and, directing me, telling me what. I know there was huge confusion on those books, and that was, part of the consternation here, but appreciate the teachers reaching out, and I'm no good at math, but I like looking at the books, I like looking at stuff, and I hope it's gonna help this county.
I really do. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, the reason I asked for a delay was so I could look at the books. And question Dr. Arnold on the cost, and, if there was any additional cost after the original. First of all, I want to thank the teachers who sat down with me and explained the books to me as I was looking at them. I did the early grade books. I can add 2 and 2. If I was to look at trigonometry and algebra, I might be looking at nuclear science. So I didn't even bother with the high school books. But based upon what I saw, based upon what Dr. Arnold told me, I'm completely satisfied with this math program. So thank you.
Okay.
And thank you for giving me a month to look at that. I think that was important.
Anybody else? No? So everybody's finished with discussion, and so the motion is to adopt the math textbook. Let's try to say it. Raise your right hand. 7 of them. Okay. I'm through. Number 6. No, number 5. Property for sale at Rushstone School.
I make a motion to purchase that Rushstone School for $125,000 and let Tommy go through the paperwork in and I'll send that.
It's understood. Okay, I'll say. You can just stop the motion at 125. Okay. So you got the motion. And Danny seconded. Okay, so motion's been made and seconded to purchase the property, the restaurant property, $125,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay, everybody understand the motion?
We need a funding source.
I
need a
Oh, yeah.
funding source.
I'm sorry.
Okay, let's, see, that put 2 questions in that motion. So, now, if we prove this, to buy it, now we go for the funding source. See, that's what you do.
Okay.
You can make another motion. That sounds about right to everybody.
You can amend
Not
this
you.
motion and just add
Doesn't it say
this.
we approve $125,000 for the general fund to purchase the restaurant property?
Coach, you can just make an amendment. That amendment is just.
Yeah, you can amend it.
Just add that fund.
You understand what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
question, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, we've got the motion to purchase the property. And if you want to amend it, anybody?
I'll amend it.
Okay.
My amendment would be to add to the end of that by moving $125,000 from our trust account or general account or whatever.
No, it's still fund balance, fund balance.
Fund balance.
All right, so we have an amendment to the main motion. We've got a second. And so we've got a motion, an amendment to the main motion to use $125,000 out of fund balance to purchase the land. We have a second by Josh. Yeah. Okay.
Can we get the address later?
I have nothing more to say.
Okay.
Do we have any money anywhere, Tommy, that can be used for that without taking out of fund balance?
I mean, I don't, I'm sure we could, I mean, the
I
easiest,
understand,
cleanest,
does the commissioners will have to vote for us to take the money?
they would have to vote
And take it out of
to
fund
move it
balance.
anywhere.
Out of fund balance. I understand.
Anywhere you move it from, they're gonna have to vote.
I understand.
Yes.
Anybody else? Okay, we have to vote on the amendment first. So the amendment is to utilize $125,000 of fund balance to purchase the land with us. Did I get close?
Yes.
Okay. And everybody understand the motion? Okay, I'm gonna put it to vote. All those in favor of the amendment, raise your right hand. Okay. You didn't follow that chair. Now then, the amendment becomes a part of the main motion, all right? And I forgot what the main motion. Can you put them together and read it to us? Your, basically, his amendment would be like a phrase added to the end of the motion.
Okay, so you're talking the main motion.
Main motion is to purchase land Straw for $125,000. And use $125,000 out of fund balance. Thanks.
Okay.
Got it? Everybody understand the motion with the amendment? All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? 7-0. No votes. All right, next on the agenda is the procedure to accompany board policy 1.45. I'm gonna pull that, I put that on, I'm gonna take it off. It is way past my bedtime. I'm gonna put that on the agenda at the next meeting. The paper that I gave you, don't lose it. You won't get another copy. All right? Bring it back. And you're asking, why am I looking at you, right? Next is the tenure list. You've had that in your possession several days now. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept it.
Okay. Motion has been made to accept the tenure list by Mr. Johnny and Josh Cameron seconded. So motion has been made and seconded to accept the tenure list. Any discussion? Hearing none, put it to the question, and all those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. All opposed, no votes, and the motion passes, or carries, adopted, or whatever. Pick one of them words.
I got a question. I'm just gonna ask, I have a main motion that we have to vote on twice, but I just want to be aware of that. You know, when I made my first motion on highlight, and I had a main motion.
It's really good if you write your motions
I
out,
understand.
if you stick an and in there, now you got two things. You follow me? Right, and it shouldn't be really worded. Motions that go on forever for a paragraph, you don't perform, because you honestly put a lot of stuff in there. All right, so you should always say, I move to, adopt for Keith, ally, your motion, right. First motion, once you click it, was good.
Well,
And you wanna put your item on the agenda.
I think Mr. Solomon is saying we didn't vote on a motion, that you mentioned he had to make two motions, he made the first. And we voted on it, and then we moved on without voting on the second.
Well, the second part of that, you said you did, was for Kerry Trent and to keep an eye on, and you said you didn't, I thought you said you didn't want to do that.
No, I was wanting to take unicorn and every jig on it. I want them to watch that. That's what
I'm pretty sure they will.
That's just a request more or less.
Yeah, I don't
I
think,
request whatever, but I just want.
I mean, we've gone this far, I mean, right, and, I understand, but I thought you just,
Okay,
just
that's fine.
wanted that first. All righty, let's see, where are we on this agenda? We got the tenure list, school commissioner input.
I would like to place on the May agenda, business agenda, a discussion of the behavioral health contract competitive bid procedure.
Right. Okay? You got that, Ron? I do. So it'll be on the agenda. Make a motion. Anybody else? About the last item, and I want to clear this up, and when we adjourn, there has to be a motion, a second, and a vote. So anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, I second it. Nancy seconded it. To adjourn. So a motion is to adjourn. A motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor, raise your right hand and run for the door.